So I have taken my task list and I did a couple things to it. And I want to share those with you on how you can figure out how much time to dedicate each week to your work. So one of the things I did was I went ahead and changed the colors up here to match the colors on my calendar. Psychologically, your brain is able to most easily organize anything by color. If I put a bunch of folders across on a table across the room and said, go get the blue one, you'd go right to it. That's how good we are at identifying colors. And it comes from the fact that, we used to live in the wild and we needed to identify food. And so when we could see food from a distance and we could identify it by color, our ancestors ate, and here we are. Those who didn't, they didn't have ancestors. They didn't have offspring. So color is the main way we organize things. So use color. It will help you organize best. So I changed my colors. Okay. I only used two colors here. One was to tie this into the calendar. The other one down here is my due date. I changed it, bolded it, underlined it, and made it color. Ignore everything you've ever been told about not doing bold and underlining color. Whatever helps you remember and use your memory, do it. Okay. No one's going to be grading this. So I have my items that I needed to get done, and I went through and I estimated how long it was going to take me to do each one. Now, I have the advantage of being able to do a rough estimate here that you're not going to be able to do this. Okay? My best advice is to literally do the first one not as fast as you can, but start it as soon as you can and work through it. To determine and time yourself, how long is it going to take? But also, this is sort of a guide on estimating. So here's how I came up with these numbers. Review PowerPoint 1 and 5. I took a look at them, right? And based on how long they are, I figured if I spent an hour reviewing them, taking notes each, that would get me about 2 hours of time to do that. Okay? And then I could just go look at the videos and add up the amount of time. For the 4 videos at 15 minutes roughly, that's an hour. So that made that easy. Review the rubric. That was just a guess. Probably won't take me that long, but you want to round up. And you want to round up in a way that you go to the next half hour, because it just makes your life easier, especially when you have to start doing algebra. And then read your story. Probably not going to take me 30 minutes, but again, I'm going to give myself time to read the story, think about it, and go back and read it again. I want to make sure it's processing. Okay. Then I'm going to give myself 4 hours for planning what I want to do. You will spend more time doing this than you think you will, and you'll spend a lot of time doing it that you probably won't even think about recording, and then your brain is just going to process it. Okay. Then I'm going to give myself time to take the photos. I'm going to do 2 4-hour shoots maybe. I'm going to go out and I'm going to shoot them. I'm going to look at them. And then I'm going to shoot again so I get better photos the second time. So I'm going to give myself 8 hours for that. And I know that just from somebody who is a photographer. It takes time to go through and review your photos. So I'm going to give myself an hour after the first shoot and a second hour after the second shoot. So 2 hours to review my photos. If I'm going to do any editing, I know I can get lost in this. I will spend hours. I could spend a whole day editing photos. But I'm going to limit myself here to 4 hours that I'm going to give myself to work on editing photos if I use that time. I need to write an explanation about what I did, so I'm going to give myself an hour to do that. And then I know that I need to submit my work in Blackboard, and I'm going to give myself time for things to upload, because as you guys are going to find out, the bigger your files, the longer it takes for them to upload, and you can't hit that submit button until it's done uploading. So let's just say I've got big files, and I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to make sure that I have some latitude. I highly encourage you to submit your work at least the day before it is due. Do not wait till the last day, last minute. Things go wrong. That is life. And if you miss that deadline, it doesn't matter why. Your clients are not in this for you. They might like you, but you are in this for them. So you have to start now preparing yourself for meeting these deadlines in industry, because your client is not going to care about what happened. They're not. You've missed their deadline. They're going to be angry. They're going to be upset. And you just don't want to do that. It eventually ruins your reputation if enough people know you as unreliable. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I have seen people destroy their careers. Very, very talented people who destroyed their careers because they could not meet deadlines, or they just decided they didn't feel like going out to a photo shoot that day, so they didn't show up. It gets around, people talk. Atlanta might be big, but the art world is a small community. And so make sure you give yourself plenty of time to submit your work. Okay, so I added all that up and I got 23.5 hours, and I've multiplied that by 1.5, which is going to give me a 10% contingency. That takes me to 25.8 hours, and I'm rounding that up to 26 hours. Okay, a contingency is for things that are going to go wrong, that you don't know what they are, and 10% as a rule of thumb. Okay, so that's where the contingency comes from. And then I took that 26 hours, and I have 2 weeks to get this done, so I divided it by 2 weeks. That gives me 13 hours per week. I want to spread it out over 4 days, just my personal decision. And that means that I need to be working about 3 hours a day, 4 days a week on this assignment over the next 2 weeks to meet that deadline and do a good job. Okay? That's it. I mean, that's made my life so much easier. And this is going to help those of you guys who procrastinate, and I know that you do. I'm not a procrastinator. I've never been in my life. Don't understand it. The minute I get something done, I immediately worry I'm not going to meet the deadline. I get started on it. I'm done sooner. And then I go back and I fix it. I make it better. And I end up winning a lot of awards. I'm an A student, overachiever. And it's all because I get started the minute I get something. And so if I can do anything to encourage you to get excited about your work, and I could probably do a whole other video on that because I've read an entire book on dealing with anxiety and how to overcome that. And basically, anytime you feel anxious, you tell yourself, oh my God, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. And your brain eventually believes it. It's amazing what you can convince your conscious brain can convince your unconscious brain how to interpret things. So don't get overwhelmed by this. I now have a game plan. I'm going to do this. I know what I need to do. I know how to get it done. So my next thing is I want to break this up into my 3.5 hours per day. So this is my first day right there. This is my second day. I'm going to copy this. Actually, it's more than that, isn't it? Oops, sorry. So I'm going to break this into 2 days. Let's break this up. All right, so you can have this on here multiple times. So that's going to be an hour, and then I'm going to and I'm going to spend, let's say, 2 hours on that there. And then plan my photo shoot. I'm going to do 2 hours, and I'm going to take my photos. Well, this doesn't break into 3 hours very easily, so sometimes that happens and you just want to make adjustments. So say I did 3 hours here, I'm gonna do 3 hours here. Let's just do 3 hours here, and I know that changes it a bit, but let's do it that way. Okay, and so I'm gonna review my photos. Photo shoot. So I'm going to do this 2 different times. Okay, so you see how I've now gone in here and I've started to break this down. So I'm looking at my first day, my second day, and then my third day, and here's my first week. Okay, so week 1, week 2. Whoops, wait a minute, that's not right. 4 hours, sorry, or 4. And again, do whatever you need to do to be organized. Don't worry about the rules for writing a letter. That's not what you're doing here. Okay, so now I've divided this up. I've got my chunks, 1, 2, 3, 4 days. You can go further. You can do week 1, day 1. You can change colors. You can do numbers. You can do bullets. However your brain works to best organize this. Okay, so that's a doesn't always work out perfectly, right? So I might, let's break this up. Let's do this. 2 hours here. 2 hours here. 2 hours here. Because in the beginning when you're learning, it's probably better to break it up like this. Okay, so now I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Okay. And those are my 4 days here. And so I have now come up with a game plan. And I know I said that this isn't like additional work, and it feels like it's additional work in the beginning, but you have actually saved yourself a lot of frustration and a lot of stress. Having this is automatically going to do multiple things, and you're going to have to watch the next video for me to explain why, or to find out why, okay? Because I'm almost out of time. I'm going to stop this one here, and we'll continue in the next one.